Commandment number 5 is, thou shalt not lose thy money. And I started thinking to myself, I said, self, do you really want to be a CPA? Do you really want to do other people's taxes? And I said, no. So I got up and I start to leave the room, and the proctor says, if you
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Edgar and Allen Not Ho Show. I'm your host, Edgar the Connector, and co-host is Alan Foster, Mr. Financial.
Yeah, Mr. Financial. I like that.
So today's POE acronym is going to be profit over excuses. It has to go back with one of the commandments of wealth that Alan was speaking of. If you missed the portion where we changed commandment, make sure you go back to that other episode.
Yeah.
Remember, this is entertainment purposes. We are not financial advisors. We're not CPA. We're giving you what we experienced. You need to check with the licensed people to make sure you're taking care of your money correctly. And here we are doing from dark tales to bright futures.
Mm-hmm.
How
That's a good intro. I like that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel great. I feel great. Feel like $100, all green and wrinkly.
Green and wrinkly. Okay.
All green and wrinkly. Yeah.
Yeah. $100. It's been around the block
Yeah.
a couple of times.
Yeah. I feel like I have been around the block. You can tell by my look, I've seen some years. But yeah, you said we're not CPAs. It's kind of, I had a funny story. I was actually sitting for the CPA exam. This was some years back. And I was sitting, they're proctored. So that means they have somebody in the room, they're walking around and they're like making sure you're not cheating. You don't have your cell phone out and you're taking notes. And I'm sitting there and the first question comes up and it was a fairly easy one. And I'm like, okay. And the next one comes up and it was, put a little thought into it, but I knew the answer. And I started thinking to myself, I said, self, do you really want to be a CPA? Do you really want to do other people's taxes? And I said, no. So I got up and I start to leave the room, and the proctor says, if you know your timer's still running when you leave the room. And I said, yeah, I know. Let it run. I'm not coming back. And she stared at me like, you just did all this to get to this level and you're just going to walk out on the test. There's 4 parts to the test. I was sitting for the FAR exam, which is the financial accounting and reporting part, which is one of the more difficult ones to do. And there were other ones. There's one on auditing, there's one on tax, and there's one on business concepts. But I got up and I walked out and I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing all this to work for other people. I want to work for myself. And so I walked out of my CPA exam and said, I'm not sitting for this because it's going to cost me $450 for each test. And there's 4 of them and they're timed and there's a time span on each one that after you pass the first test, you have X number of months to get the next one done and then the next one and the next one. So there's like a time crunch and I was getting older and I'm like, I don't want to waste my time with this. But when you said we're not CPAs, you're absolutely right. I am not a CPA, nor do I want to sit for that ungodly exam because most CPAs don't know more than I do anyway. So I'll leave it at that.
I worked for a CPA bookkeeper for a little bit back in my high school
Oh, yeah.
days.
How's that?
It was so boring.
Oh, man, bookkeeping's great, man. It's very therapeutic. It is the language of business.
Yeah. No, not for me.
Oh, okay.
So let's go to the next commandment. Commandment number 5.
Yeah. Commandment number 5 is, thou shalt not lose thy money. And this one is kind of like right out of Warren Buffett's book. And Warren Buffett has 2 investing rules. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, if you ever forget, go back and look at rule number 1. That's it. Just don't lose money. And I say that like it's basic, like, oh, of course, don't lose money. Who doesn't? But there's a lot more to that than just, don't lose money. It's like, dropping your wallet on the ground and losing $100. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how you structure your investments that will cost you the least amount of money in taxes, and also sound investments that will actually come back to you, and making investments that are smart, that are going to be yours for a long time. And that money will return to your I'll call it your treasure pile. I'm coming up with all kinds of new stuff, Edgar.
Be like a dragon. We're like a dragon sitting on a pile of treasure, guarding our treasure, straight out of Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. Or like Uncle Scrooge with a vault of golden coins and go swimming.
Exactly. Yeah, that's us, man. That's us. We're building piles of treasure. Because we
I
ain't
can't
Poe.
swim in mine yet, but yeah. we ain't Poe.
We ain't Poe.
Profits over excuses. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Do it. Do it.
Okay, so you said don't lose your money. Make sure it returns to your
Yeah, make
pile
sure.
of treasure.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure your money comes back to you, and that's the whole premise of don't lose money, was thou shalt not lose money. And there's a lot of different ways you can look at that from a tax angle, and I'm a big advocate for using Roths. Big advocate. So any money you can stick into a Roth, do it, because that grows tax-free for life. It's once it goes into the Roth, the day you turn 59 and a half years old, you can take as much out as you want, no taxes. You could leave it in there. There's no required minimum distribution like on most traditional IRAs. Just leave it in there and let it grow. That takes tax out of it, and you get to keep more of your earnings. And the government doesn't get their grubby little hands on it and misappropriate it for whatever it is they want to spend their money on, which ain't to your benefit. So the more money you can keep out of their hands, the better off society is, in my humble opinion. But there's other things, making smart investment decisions. We kind of talked about this last time. And, as far as the type of investments, understand what it is that you're investing in, understand how it makes money. There was a saying I heard once from a guy named Zig Ziglar, and he was back in the 80s. He was pretty big. He was actually pretty old in the 80s. He did door-to-door sales back in the 1920s. And he's up on stage in the age of 80 years old, and he's like a young man up in there. He's had so much energy. But he said, you can't make a good deal with a bad person. So whenever you partner with somebody, really deep dive on them. Run their name on Google. See what comes up. See if they got a profile on LinkedIn. And let's say you want to invest in real estate. You're looking for, and let's say you don't understand that sector of real estate. Like maybe you're doing, let's say, triple net leases, or you're buying a warehouse and you're leasing out. Triple net lease basically means you're renting the property to, like, say, a Walmart, and Walmart's going to pay you rent, plus they're going to pay all the other associated costs with renting that property, such as the maintenance, the property taxes, like they own it. It's like a capital lease kind of setup deal. And you just don't have to worry about any of the expenses. You just collect the rents. And that's like a triple net lease. And maybe you don't understand how those work, and you want to partner with someone who does. That person may tell you, oh, I'm an expert at this. I know what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm the best at this. No one's better than me at triple net leases. Well, that's probably not true, because I find that whenever someone tells you that they're an expert, they're usually not. Oh, I'm an expert at this. You're not an expert, because only experts, they don't need to tell you they're an expert. You just know they're an expert just by how they carry themselves, the conversations they hold, the information they have. You know an expert, someone who's good at what they do. They don't need to tell you that. But a lot of times people feel the need to tell you they're really good. I'm great at this. I'm the best. No one's better. Usually it needs to be back checked. They got to back that up. And you can, basically pull the resume. Can I see your resume? Where have you worked? Where did you learn this? And call their companies they used to work for and say, this guy used to work for you. There's nothing wrong with that. You're interviewing for a partner just like you would be interviewing for an employee. Because believe it or not, an employee is your partner. They get a certain percentage of the revenue just like your partner does. They have to.
So true.
It's the same process. You gotta know who you're getting in bed with. Protect your money from loss. It's absolutely vital. And, there's other things, understanding the deal that you're getting into, and we talked a little bit about that last time. Understanding the investment that you're actually getting into. So how does it make money? And if the deal can't make money, how do you expect to make money if they're going to give you a piece of the revenue or a piece of the earnings? So if you can't understand how they make money, I'm pretty sure they don't really make money. Because if you can't understand it, there's no way for you to value that company. You can't value something if you don't understand how the money is made in the first place. And
Remember Enron?
oh yeah. Very good, Edgar. You, my son, are a very wise man. You know what you're talking about. Yeah. So Enron, they were doing their revenue based on mark to market, which is not typical. And any accountant would look at that and say, "What? You're doing your revenue on mark to market," which is they were pricing things on what the market's willing to pay versus what they were actually making. And there was all sorts of accounting tricks. It's funny. I was just thinking, Edgar, it just hit me. We should do a whole episode on accounting fraud because I know how to steal money from a company. It's very easy to do. And a lot of people, just like a doctor can tell you, and you'll believe the doctor because they're a doctor. They know more, so they could do irreparable harm. Same with an attorney. They know the law. They could do irreparable. Accountants, same deal, because they have specialized knowledge that the average folk don't, and they can do things. And in the accounting field is one of those fields because you could just manipulate the numbers, and you can just shift a couple numbers this way or that way. It'll all show on the balance sheet as normal, and it's hard to find. But I know where they hide them. And we'll go over a couple of those. Oh, we could do a whole episode on how to know if your employee is stealing from you.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be very helpful when you get to the point that you have that money and you're spending time on other things, not managing your finances. It's a great way to be able to catch that.
Yeah, that is a whole area that it's cost, believe it or not. I know most people think of your normal costs. I bought this, it cost me this, and I sold it for this, and I had to pay for electricity, and I had to pay for wages, and those are the things. But there's other things in business that are costs, and theft, shrinkage. You'll probably hear that one. And most people, what does that mean? My inventory got smaller? Yeah, it shrunk. It disappeared overnight one night. You had 10 boxes, but this morning you came in, there were 7 boxes, but nothing was sold. Where'd they go? And you see that a lot in the food industry, where inventory, they call them ingredients on their accounting spreadsheets, but they go missing. But yeah, you have to protect your money from loss. That is such an important rule, whether it's active or passive investing. You have to protect it. So always understand what you're doing. And if you don't, hire someone who does. I call it the dumb tax. If I don't know how to do something, and there's a lot in this world that I don't know how to do, I will pay some of the profit to someone who does so that I don't lose money. Because the return that I get is important, but equally important and more important, in my opinion, is that money doesn't get lost. Because I have made bad decisions, and I'm still sitting on a deal that I did down in Gator, Georgia for $50,000. I may never see a dime of that back because I did not vet the management team correctly. Vetted the deal, everything good, the numbers were good. The whole market, everything about the market said, oh, this is a sweet deal. But the management team, I forgot that part, and I paid dearly for it. My partner paid dearly for it because she trusted me, because I'm the finance guy. I'm the guy who's supposed to know this shit. Excuse my language. Sheep dip. Folks at home, I said sheep dip. But yeah, I didn't do my due diligence on the management team. I just assumed they seemed like nice folks. How hard could it be to run, a 122 unit property? Apparently there's some issues that they were not prepared to handle, and they were not qualified to do it. So there's a lot of things you have to look at, and don't lose money. And it's not just the deal, but it's the management team. As a matter of fact, I'm going to quote Warren Buffett, one of my favorite investors. He says he never bets on the horse, he bets on the jockey. Because the jockey If you have a horrible jockey, that no matter how good that horse is, no matter how great that business is, if that jockey is garbage, the company's garbage. They'll run it into the ground, and your money will not be coming back to you, at least not all of it. And that's just kind of how a framework. That's a framework that I do in my whole commandments of money, commandments of wealth.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a huge lesson for all types of industries. Like you're saying about management for your properties, that could be a manager at a store, that could be your contractor, even your lender could be bad. They take too long to get the paperwork done correctly, so then you're about to close, but because they forgot to send you something, your closing gets delayed. All that is super important. Like most entrepreneurs, I don't sleep enough. So the hours that I do sleep need to be of better quality. The 8 Sleep Pod, it has been a game changer for me. Perfect temperature all night, less snoring, and I actually wake up refreshed. And my wife does as well, which is a huge plus. Happy wife, happy life. You can try it through my affiliate link below. Now we go back to the episode.
Oh yeah, it's funny you mentioned lenders. I just fired a lender not 1 hour ago because they were just dragging their feet, and I felt like I was dealing with I gave him a shot because we met him. So just give him a shot. And we've been trying to get this loan done since July. My loans, when I get a loan, they're done in 2 to 3 weeks, tops 3 weeks. And this guy's 3 months on this for a DSCR loan. And for those viewers who don't know what it's basically a type of loan you would get for a rental property, where the rental property is the actual asset and has to prove the income. They don't necessarily care what you make. They just care what the property earns. DSCR loan. It's a discounted cash. It's basically based on the cash flow of the property. But anyway, you are so right about bringing that up because, lenders, anyone you do business with, it's all about losing. Because if you lose time on a deal, that's money. I don't care what you say. I know it sounds very cliche, time is money, but it is a real thing. Money is time because every month you hold an asset, it costs you to hold that asset. So, and it digs into your profit margin. So it does cost money. And and not to mention the energy drain and the intellectual sucking out of my brain. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it again. I didn't bet this guy, gave him a shot. How hard could it be? But I'm glad you brought that up. Kudos to you.
Yeah,
Edgar.
definitely. Thank you. Well, that's all for this episode. Hey, give us a thumbs up. Drop a comment below. Let us know if you want to know more about this commandment, and we'll put some effort into expanding more on these if that's something you like.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the next episode of the Edgar and Allen Not Poe.
I love that.
Later. Catch this next podcast where you can start your dreams and start to own your time the way these other guests have.